Hello. I'd like to share with you the journey of how I made the decision to isolate myself in 7th grade. 6th grade was pretty normal, meeting new people, figuring myself out, good grades, getting ready for 7th grade. I sat down to write a list on how we can make the upcoming school year great. This is something we do every year, so we take the time to think about how to improve our grades, how to make new friends, and how to become a bigger and better person. I got comfortable into my 7th grade year. I noticed that something was off. I felt like I didn't have any people on my side, and everyone was acting really weird. Most kids didn't really like me for who I was and how I looked anymore. I started to feel bad about everything, and I took it as if I was the problem at the time. By the middle of 7th grade, I didn't really want to confess it, but I was getting bullied. I'm not good at talking about things, so instead I started showing out and making poor decisions. I put stress on my parents and myself as well. At one point, my grades started to fail, and I didn't know what to do anymore. The bullying got so bad to the point where I felt it coming. I always knew someone was on the verge of saying something about me. I would feel tight inside, and I would be on the edge of crying, but I couldn't because I didn't want anyone to show me any sympathy. My best friends, siblings, teachers always asked me questions like, "What's going on with you?" or "You're not acting like you anymore." I didn't tell anyone what was going on because they basically looked at me as a troublemaker. My school year made me feel as if I wasn't me anymore. Everything I didn't want happened. And I always felt like I was trying, but I knew I wasn't. But at the end of my 7th grade year, I finally got up one day and had the motivation to stop everything bad from happening that was going on. I woke up and told myself that it's time to focus on me and what's right, and how can I improve myself. I took the time to sit down and think about everything, and I had the idea came into my head that I should withdraw and take a break from everyone and everything. It was time to focus on myself. I spent a lot of time to be my own best friend. I took myself on walks. I looked at myself in the mirror and said positive affirmations. I started to heal. It was the end of the year, and I decided to write down my list for 8th grade. My decision was to keep focusing on myself and stay isolated from the negative talk around me. I was tired of feeling like I wasn't enough because I'm beautiful and I'm strong. The beginning of my 8th grade year, everything went as planned. Things still weren't perfect, but they calmed down. I didn't have any friends but my best friend. I isolated myself so bad to the point where I didn't even eat in the same lunch area as everyone else. I was okay with that, though. I didn't have any drama or any problems that concerned other people. I felt better in the classroom. I didn't feel tight anymore. I wouldn't feel tight whenever I see someone walk past me. I didn't give them power anymore. Kids would come up and ask me, "How come you don't talk to me anymore?" Or "Why did you change?" People would call me names like Stuck Up or Hollywood because I wanted to be alone and I wanted to do things my own way. I didn't care about the names anymore because I was in the process of figuring out who I am and how I wanted to live. After the bullying died down, I noticed my worth again. I noticed that I stand out more and I'm great just the way I am. I'm a natural introvert and a middle child. I don't look for attention, so I found a routine that worked for me. Now it's my 8th grade year, and due to COVID, I have to stay home anyway. I feel my isolation during the past 2 years actually prepared me for this year better than I imagined. Because I took the time to focus on me. I can stay strong during this difficult time. I can continue to be my own best friend, and when things get rough, I am not afraid to look in the mirror and tell myself I am strong and I am beautiful. I'm done.
knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. I had been feeling like I was going to pass out at times during runs and workouts, and there was this indescribable feeling. The feeling that my body was fit to keep going, but it couldn't go because an invisible wall that I couldn't physically break down was there. The cross-country coaches had recommended to most female athletes to get their ferritin levels checked, but I thought that wasn't ever going to be something I struggled with. I thought that I would go into the season strong since I had 400 miles over the summer and that I would get a personal record and drop a minute in my time. Well, to say the least, things changed. I went to my primary doctor for a sports physical, and they wanted to get my ferritin/iron levels checked by a blood test. So that Saturday morning, I went to get the blood test. I was anxious as everyone is on their first blood test. I hadn't eaten in 12 hours and hadn't drank that much water because I was sleeping during the night. I went to the lab at the back of the doctor's office and got my number for the blood test line. I sat in the waiting room. Waiting was a very scary aspect because I didn't exactly know what to expect. I went into the lab chair when I was called. I sat down, and the people who took my blood felt my veins to the one with the most blood. She drew the blood. I didn't really watch. It was scary, and I felt the little pricks. I was very anxious, but I was brave. I did not cry or scream. I felt like my ferritin/iron levels wouldn't be low, and I was already having enough stress to deal with since changing to a new school, so I didn't think I would have to stress about my low iron levels. I walked out after she was done, but I couldn't really see anything. Everything seemed a blur. I wanted to go outside to take my mask off to get some fresh air, but then I couldn't see anything, so I decided to say something to a security guard walking past. I said, "I think I'm going to pass out," and he responded with, "Don't pass out," which I think is really funny because I couldn't really prevent it. I then tried to keep walking towards the door, but apparently I wasn't going to it because I blacked out after hitting the wall. The security guard called for the nurses, and they immediately came into the normal pass-out procedure. And then I was restored and was able to go home after a while. I had been planning on going to exercise and run after this, because that's just the person I am, but unfortunately, this got in the way. A few days later, I got my blood test results back. I found out that I was super low on iron. My reality of a cross-country season had come to an end. The first time I raced, I was 2 minutes slower than what I had been at the beginning of my freshman season. The race was a hot and sunny day. I was trying to run fast, but there was a problem. I couldn't run fast towards the last 1.5 miles. My body should have been prepared to and able to, but it just couldn't. I got a side stitch from not having enough oxygen. The race was very hard to mentally work through considering my paces kept dropping. The basic overview to iron deficiency is, without enough iron, your body cannot produce enough of a substance in red blood cells that enables them to carry oxygen. As a result, iron deficiency anemia leaves you tired and short of breath. This is exactly what happened at that race. This was totally crushing for me. This was not something I'd imagined as my season as, and I had goals to accomplish a season that wouldn't be achieved. I realized I was going to have to push and try even harder than the competition. I knew I always had another year in high school and I would be able to recover from my iron deficiency with the help of iron pills and a new diet. I also had to incorporate core and strength in my routine to make up for the iron. I wanted to do core most days and be consistent with it so I would get faster, because I really wanted to be faster. The motivation for cross country was still there, which at times I had doubted. I spent some nights crying over it, but I realized that I can still run and I'm not injured. I'm lucky to run and be able to be somewhat fast. I was also going to be able to step up in my team as a leader, even though this is my first year at the new school. Fortunately, I was able to improve my times, but I never got to where I was last season. With my new team, I was actually able to compete in the state meet yesterday, which was my first time competing in a cross-country state meet. Feeling the adrenaline rush was exciting, and I was proud of being able to be in the 2020 state championship meet with my new teammates. This year brought new challenges, new choices, and new things to celebrate. I am grateful for this part of my journey in life. It has allowed me to learn more about the nutrition my body needs so that I can get healthier and stronger. It is my goal to become a professional runner, and with this experience, I will have more knowledge to share with other aspiring runners along the way.
Over the past few months, I've had to do some soul searching. The presence of COVID-19 has made a lasting impression on the world, and living in a world with COVID-19 has also been equally interesting. Along that, the natural disasters have been hard for most people to hear about and even harder to experience. This includes the hurricanes, the wildfires, and other horrible weather storms. I won't even talk about the US election. But the thing that has had the most impact on me has been the Black Lives Matter Chronicles. In conclusion, this year has been a bust. The United States is made up of about 13.4% of African Americans today. My brothers, my mom, my friends, my family, my coaches, my mutuals, my life is a part of that 13.4%. George Floyd was a part of that 13.4%, and so was Breonna Taylor. Both murdered by ignorant, privileged white men who seek to fear the blackness of our skin and see us as a people first. I remember scrolling through Instagram for both occasions, just tapping away, like all social media addicted teenagers do, and then coming across both of their faces plastered everywhere. It was almost all at once. I refreshed the page and more posts and updates on their cases came flooding in. I remember coming across the video and the scene where 4 men in blue stood over a fallen angel's body and didn't think twice about what they did to him. Internally, I didn't want to watch the video, but as my finger became magnet and magnet became phalange and phalange touched the screen, I watched the video and I couldn't bring myself to turn away. Breonna Taylor, on the other hand, this is the case that made me feel like I needed to do something. When I saw that her case barely made it past the Supreme Court, and even then she had everything: a law in her name, a street named after her, murals, posters, speeches, and other countless things with her face on it, she as a person never received justice. The people responsible for her death walked away with nothing but maybe a slap on the wrist and cared that drywall was more important than her own life. I became angry after hearing about these things. I threw my phone, I angry texted, I cried. No, I angry cried, and that's nothing like you've ever seen before. We share the same name. We share the same skin. We share the same rights. Makes sense, right? That could have been me easily. I remember ranting to my speech and debate coach about it, and you know what he did? He said that I'm going to perform a speech on police brutality. This is not that speech. This is about speaking for people who do not have a voice. And this is about what I will do in the future to make sure those voices stay amplified. I'm still figuring myself out in this world, but what I do know is that it will include me speaking against racial injustice and other oppressions around the world, because I want my brothers and sisters and others to grow up in a world where they don't have to risk the same treatment. The story doesn't have a happy ending. Not all things in life have a happy ending, but the least we can do is live it and make it have a happy ending. In the words of Melissa Newman Evans, the world is trying to kill you. It is trying to do so by taking your voice. Kill it back and do it with a smile.
June 13th, 2020, the day my heart broke. Have you ever been dumped over FaceTime? No? Good, it sucks. It feels really inconsiderate after a 9-month relationship. At least I knew it was coming. Our relationship hadn't been the same for months. The pandemic changed everything. We stopped hanging out, talking, and most importantly, being honest with each other. But our relationship used to be great. In fact, it was pure bliss. I'll give you an example. It was December 21st, 2019, one of the best days of my life. As my ex-girlfriend and I were walking to the ice skating rink, the wind was kissing my cheeks. I could feel them get numb, and I had the overwhelming urge to huddle up inside and drink hot chocolate. I wrapped my right arm around her left and rested my head on her shoulder. I wouldn't trade that moment for the world. Not for $1 million, not to meet the love of my life, not to have a best-selling book, which is my dream job, by the way, not to go on a free trip around the world. No offer would be worth losing that tiny yet vastly important nugget of my life. There are more moments like that. Jamming out to Hamilton in my room, cuddling in my room, kissing in my room. We also had some great date nights. We got to see Frozen 2 in theaters together. I have a feeling the homophobes in the room were fuming as our arms were wrapped around each other and my head was on her shoulder. We were so dedicated to cuddling that we endured the pain of the jabbing armrest into our sides. It was PDA, but it wasn't PDA, if you catch my drift. I used to be friends with someone who did worse things in a theater, so I think what we were doing was pretty G-rated. We didn't even kiss in the theater. We also had a date at a bowling alley. We were the only people there besides one guy playing Dance Dance Revolution. I still have the secret video I took of him making the entire bowling alley shake. I swear to God, his legs were moving faster than Usain Bolt on steroids. The funniest part was a different guy came in later and did the same thing. Part of me thinks they have been longtime Dance Dance Revolution rivals, fighting for first prize in loser tournaments for people who hate themselves. So yeah, that was a pretty fun experience. We spent a lot of time at each other's houses, watching movies and such. The relationship was nice because it was a first for both of us, so we were experiencing it together. I also had my first kiss, first date, first dance, and first breakup with her. She was my everything for 9 whole months, and then it just stopped. I wish I could have done more with her, experienced more with her. I wanted to go to the drive-in, go stargazing, go on an autumn walk, go to the pool, go on a hike, go sledding, have a picnic, go mini golfing, go to Six Flags, go to prom, go thrift shopping, have a game night, go on a road trip, and so much more. I was willing to do anything as long as it was with her. I don't know if you've ever gone through a breakup, but if you haven't, I can explain it to you. Imagine if one day your best friend said you couldn't be friends anymore, and when you asked why, they said they couldn't explain it. They just didn't want to be friends anymore. And that's it. You never talk to or hang out with that person again. That's what it was like. There was no specific reason why she broke up with me. We had just grown apart. But I still cared for her. I still loved her. I'm not sure if she ever loved me. I told her I loved her about 4 months after we started dating. It seems really soon, but I thought I just knew. 10 years from now, I might look back and think, you didn't love her. But the thing is, at the time, I did love her. My conception of love was what I felt for her, but the meaning of love may change as I grow older. True, she's not the love of my life, but she was my first love. So what was the point of this story? I guess I want to say that, even though the breakup was hard, I'm glad it happened. I'm glad it happened because it made me stronger. I'm glad it happened because it needed to happen. I'm glad it happened because with that memory comes all of the good memories from the relationship. I'm glad it happened because now I can handle heartbreak. I'm glad it happened because I got to be single for a little while. I'm glad it happened because now I have the opportunity to date guys too. I'm glad it happened. Whenever something bad happens, turn it into a positive experience, because bad times in your life can lead to great times. You can't erase the bad moments of your life. You can only learn how to cope and turn them into a positive experience.
On March 12, 2020, I woke up thinking that it would be an ordinary Thursday. 240 days later, looking back, I realized that it was nowhere near ordinary. At first, I didn't think anything at COVID. At school, we'd all make jokes about it, but we never really thought of it as anything more. At the start of lockdown, I remember everybody texting friends and just checking up on them. I mean, we really didn't have anything else to do, so we just reached out. It definitely also gave me the chance to get closer with my family. With school and sports, etc., we all never really had the time to get together and watch a movie or play a game. I think that with everything going on, it's hard to see the light in it. The first day of online school was very different. I got up and dressed up like I usually would for the first day of school, but then quickly realized that nobody could see my outfit. I logged into each class and met all of my teachers, but it didn't quite feel like school. Instead of sitting at a desk next to all of my friends in a classroom, I was sitting in my bedroom staring at a computer screen of a complete stranger trying to teach me chemistry. On that day, I realized that life isn't going to be back to the way it was anytime soon. Wearing masks at stores, taking food home, and logging into school would have to become a reality for me. Before I'd walk out the door with my phone in my hand and my house key. But now it's become a habit to grab my mask. I was very used to going out and eating places, but with everything shut down, dine-in has now become my kitchen table. Every day freshman year, I'd get up extra early to do my hair and pick out an outfit and then rush to get to school on time. But now my outfits usually consist of sweatpants or pajamas with a nice top to make myself look presentable. And being on time isn't running into your classroom a minute before the bell rings. Instead, to me, it's logging into Zoom at 8:59 when school starts at 9. There have been many challenges with the pandemic, and it's definitely brought a lot of fear and confusion. When we got put in lockdown, I thought it was the worst thing to ever happen to me. But a year ago today, I would have never seen myself as the person I am now. There have been a lot of negatives to it, but I think that has brought me closer to a lot of great people.
Does my weight make me less of a person? I have always struggled with my weight since I was younger. When people see me, it's the first thing they notice. I've become so concerned with what people think, have forgotten my worth and value. I refuse to leave the house because of my self-esteem, and because of that, I have to be forced to leave. In middle school, I was bullied to a point where I wanted to take my own life. I thought I was just a thing that took up too much space. I just gave up on myself. I thought my life didn't have meaning. In my eyes, happiness was an emotion I thought I would never feel. I don't hang out with my friends because I feel that they are embarrassed to be seen with me. Strangers would come up to me and my mom and try to tell her how to fix me. It seems like everyone is so worried about me on a scale and not my mental health. I have secluded myself. I feel so sad that I turn to food because I know it won't judge me. I watch television and I wish I was happy and skinny like the people on the screen. I lay in my bed and I just allow myself to look any type of way. I've given up on myself. I refuse to be that way. I want to be able to enjoy my life and hang out with my friends and not worry about if they're embarrassed to be seen with me. I'm tired of not being comfortable in my own skin. I just want to be healthy, and not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. I want to be able to wear crop tops and not have people judging me or whispering because of what they see. I want to go to the gym and not consistently feel eyes on me. I'm a person who wants to enjoy life and enjoy the world and not be afraid of the people on it. I just want to be me and not worried about what other people think. I asked, does my weight make me less of a person? And the answer is no. No, it doesn't. I'm allowed to take up as much space as I feel. I'm allowed to wear what I want. I'm allowed to weigh as much or as less as I want. I'm allowed to enjoy life, and that's what I'm going to do. It's time for me to be happy and healthy in any way it looks like. And not for anyone else, but for me. I am important, and I am beautiful no matter what shape or size I am.